All right, this is an interesting question. I'm curious to what you answer here. So question number 2: how do you warm up for the barbell lifts? So you have to squat. What are you doing?
I'm warming up with a barbell. Normally, I walk into the gym, grab the barbell, hit a set of empty bar, hit a set working up to wherever I'm going to be, and just slowly get there. I would say at this point, because of the same conditioning thing, I get to like my RPE 6 relatively quickly now because I'm not uh, needing the recovery. And then uh, typically, from the moment I walk in the gym to my first working set is, I would say, 15 minutes on average now.
Mm, yeah, that's speedy. Yeah, you're just in it. Yeah, but you work out mostly in your garage, or is it in the
Well,
house, or what?
I've been in a gym for the past
Okay,
8 weeks now. I
okay.
needed a little bit of the somebody I didn't know staring at me to talk me into adding a couple kilo to my lifts. So
Yeah, that works. Yeah, I'm pretty much the same, except for on the squat. I've been doing the only thing else that I'll do is like I'll do some I call them plate press outs. I'll like squat to the bottom, body weight, and I'll have like a 25-pound plate in my hands, and I'll like press it out. And it all it does for me is it's like a little upper back, like, oh hey, those are muscles that you're gonna want to use, and like and maybe some active warm up of my shoulders in a position that's more tolerable than cranking myself under a bar straight away. So I'll do a few of those, hang out at the bottom of the squat for like 20 or 30 seconds, and then I'm like, okay, I'll do empty sets with the bar. I For the bench press, I just bench, and then for the deadlift, I just deadlift. There's no like additional warm up. I've tried literally everything. I've done the couch stretch. I've done pigeon pose. I've done lacrosse ball, foam rollers, band distraction stuff. The whole effort is like I don't care about any of those things. Meaning that I don't think that any of them are like uniquely good or bad or whatever. If they made me feel better and perform better on a regular basis, and didn't otherwise like you know Jedi mind trick me into believing I'm some sort of fragile, like decomposable thing, then great. But I've tried, and all they do is just waste time for me. And so, like, it would be, you said it took 15 minutes for you to get to your top work set or close. It would be taking me 30, 40 minutes. I'm like, what am I doing? I got stuff to do. I, you know, I have a lot of time to train. That is true, but not all of the time to train. I gotta get through this, especially if I have 9 back off sets, whatever. Oh boy, if it takes me 40 minutes to get my top set, I'm squatting for an hour and a half, and then I got to go bench or whatever. And so, since I didn't really notice any benefit to any sort of, wait, do I have more range of motion I can access? Do I feel more comfortable? Do I perform better? And I was like, well, I'm just going to kick this out of my program. There's no point to it. And so when people ask me like, oh, should I do this mobility stuff? I'm like, I don't know. Do you think it's helping? Like, how do you feel about it? What do you think of it? What do you think it's doing?
well, I think something to talk about here is just how long on average are your sessions.
Oh, sure, yeah. So my sessions right now, I'm finishing just at like 2 hours. That's pretty much they range. It's like 90 minutes on a shorter, lower priority session. So if that's like belt squats, incline bench, feet up close grip stuff and some back work. So it's not like a comp heavy day. Even though each of those movements, I'm pushing the intensity to where it needs to go. It's just not like this thing matters how much I'm lifting and like whatever. Yeah, that'll be 90 minutes. But if it's a comp squat, comp bench, comp deadlift day all wrapped together, that's going to be 2 hours, or whatever. But if I had a 30-minute warm up prior to that, now we're talking 2.5 hours.
But I think that's good to hear for people because sometimes, especially on the pain and rehab side, we'll get people that are like, well, I have an hour to devote to this
Mm,
and I want to maximize my potential in the gym. Like, well, we have constraints just on how long we can rest on what we can do today.
yeah, yeah.
And sometimes I think we don't talk enough about just the time in gym that we
Hmm.
get because you get somebody who's like, well, I have 45 minutes 3 times a week and I want to medal at the next meet. And you're like, well, I hope you've been training for a really long time
Yeah,
because
right. Yeah.
like it's or it's you're in a rural state with a really small meet.
Yeah, no one shows up. Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's kind of like, it's like if the stretch or the mobility thing or whatever you're thinking about adding, if you think it's going to be better than another set of squats or another set of bench press or deadlifts or some other very specific sort of practice for, in this case, a barbell sport like powerlifting, knock yourself out. As long as it doesn't build this weird narrative where you're like, I have to do this, otherwise I'm going to hurt myself, or I'm damaged, or I'm incomplete, or broken, whatever. I'm fine with it. But the odds are doing another set of squats is probably more beneficial, right? It's
If
just
your
there's
goal
some,
is to top end your squat, yeah.
yeah. Or if you're like a their conditioning sport or some other sort of recreational pursuit, I think something more specific to that is probably better. And so the next then people will be like, well, what about on my off days? And it's like maybe having a dedicated off day is better than doing this other stuff. Yeah. So
Yes, I would certainly agree with that. I think there is this because the other side of it is the people that want to train 6 days a week for 2 hours. And you're like, well, now we really have to work out some low intensity variability stuff to where
mhm.
we're making you feel like you got a workout in, but we're not pushing you past your capacity.
Yep. Yep. We agree. All right.